The government cannot protect you from bad charities. This is our charity rating guide and watchdog report, our most recent issue. Come to CharityWatch.org to read the article, which is posted on our website for anyone to read at CharityWatch.org. But if you want the paper copy, you can check out our website to learn how to get that. So this Charity Fraud Awareness Week 2023. Let's talk about what you can do to avoid charity frauds and scams this holiday giving season. About 25 to 30% of all donations for the year in the nonprofit sector come in during December. What does that mean? It means it's prime time for scammers. Scammers want to scam, at the time of the year that's most advantageous for them to do it, which is right now. So why can't the government protect us from bad charities? There's a few reasons. First, there are no laws in place, and due to First Amendment concerns, went all the way to the Supreme Court a few times in the 1980s. Due to First Amendment concerns, the government is not allowed to mandate that a charity spend a minimum percentage of your donation on programs. A charity can spend 99% of your donation on overhead without breaking any laws. And that article I just mentioned gets into why that is a lot more. So come to our site if you want to read into that a little bit more and get more details. The second reason is that charity financial reporting leaves a lot of leeway for charities to report their finances in a wide array of different ways. Charity financial reporting is also incredibly complex. So sometimes you'll encounter these online databases that have ratings of hundreds of thousands of charities. Wouldn't it be nice if it were that easy? I wish it were. I wish it were easy, so easy that you could just divide one number from a charity's tax form by another number in their tax form and a discrete box in the tax filing. It is unfortunately not that easy. You really need a qualified accountant to dig into that stuff, which is what we at Charity Watch do. We're accountants. We dig into the financial reporting so we can tell you, hey, if you donate $100 to this charity, how much of it is really going to be used on the legitimate programs? A few things that charities do to manipulate their finances. First, did you know that if you receive a letter in the mail, people don't believe this when I tell them, but it's true. You receive a letter in the mail from a charity, and some of us, we get dozens and dozens of these every month, some people, unfortunately. In that letter, as long as the charity could ask you for money 12 times in that letter, right? We've all seen this. We get the address labels or the keychain or the quarter taped to the letter. A charity can ask you for a donation a dozen times. As long as they include in that letter some sort of educational information and call to action, where they say something like, hey, don't forget to buckle your seatbelt to avoid, getting majorly injured in an accident, or don't forget to get your annual breast exam. Well, those might be good reminders for people in a general way. Most of us wouldn't think of those letters we receive in the mail as being the programs that we're intending to support when we give a charity money. We think of those letters as fundraising letters, right? That's logical, right? Well, not according to charity financial reporting rules. So under generally accepted accounting principles in the United States, and also according to IRS tax filing rules for charities, charities can spend millions of dollars on sending direct mail to you dozens of times a month in some cases. And as long as, even though they're asking you for money a dozen times in those letters, as long as they meet a few pretty flimsy elements, they're allowed to report in their tax filing and in their audits that these are programs. Can you imagine? So when you encounter pie charts on charity websites or in their marketing materials, or when you look at some of these online databases that are just automating the ratings or crowdsourcing the information from the charities, the vast majority of the time, they're not digging into the finances in a way where they're accounting for the fact that charities are allowed to report a lot of what most of us would think of as fundraising expenses as program expenses, which is pretty outrageous. But this is another reason the government can't protect us, because the accounting rules allow charities to manipulate their finances in these ways. Another common way that we see at Charity Watch is that charities will flow in-kind goods through their financial statements. So they might spend, say, 90% of all of the money that they spend on overhead and only spend 10% on their programs of the cash they receive. Well, sometimes they can flow non-cash donations through their financial reporting and then expense all of that to program in a way that essentially, if you're not an accountant and you're not following me, essentially what that has the effect of doing is making it look like on the surface that they're spending the vast majority of their money on programs because all of these in-kind goods are flowing through their financial statements and they're not being separated in a way that tells you, well, how are they spending the cash? And every good journalist knows, and Charity Watch works with a lot of journalists, what's the number one rule of reporting? Follow the cash. Follow the cash. That's where you find the frauds and the scams and the financial mismanagement is when you follow the cash, which is what we do at CharityWatch.org. Everyone be safe out there, but be generous. If you do your due diligence and you can find efficient and effective charities to support, and you can make a good impact in the world and do some good. You just have to be a little bit careful. So definitely don't take this as an indication that you shouldn't donate to charity. You absolutely should if you can afford it. There's a lot of need out there, but just be careful. Don't give in reaction to being asked. Be proactive. Come to CharityWatch.org for more tips on how to do that. My name is Laurie Styron. I am the CEO and Executive Director of Charity Watch, and I really hope that this was helpful. Thanks, everyone.